GatorBaitMedia.com with the best shoe game in the Gator media. And tonight, we got a good one for you. Been a rough day at the office, so as you know, when you need a little help, you bring in the legend, the man. Buddy Martin will join us to talk about the Indiana Hoosiers' run to the national title. We'll ask Buddy, is this the best thing he's ever seen in college football history? We'll also be joined by Rob Brown of SEC Sidelines to talk about all things football, SEC, and we dive into the Florida Gators. Could this be an opportunity for Florida to replicate what's going on up there in Bloomington? It looks like the Florida Gator basketball team will move to 5-1 in the SEC as they dominate LSU there at the Old Dome. Ruben Chinyelu on his way to a historic performance. And in the end of the show, to top it off, we'll be joined by Joe Fulford, the animal of Half Full and a Cup of Joe from up there in Des Moines, Iowa, to break it all down. The Sidelines Live team would like to thank our sponsors, Meldon Law and Titan MRI and Imaging. Subscribe to the Lowdown with Lorean Meadows on YouTube and Facebook, as well as our partner shows on the Sidelines Live network, including the Buddy Martin Show, Scarborough Knows, and follow yours truly on Instagram at Ohio Gator for Life and X at Real Ohio Gator. Let's get to it. And we are joined by the man, the myth, the legend, in the flesh. Join us from up there in the Panhandle, Mr. Buddy Martin. How you doing, buddy?
Good evening. I'm doing okay, and really loved that football game last night. It just gave me like a drink of water on a desert. You know, we had a season that basically had gone sideways.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole committee screwed this thing up so bad. You didn't think you'd ever be able to bring it back. Right. And somehow the strength of the story, unbelievable. It was as good a story as I ever remember, storyline, with what Signetti did and Mendoza did and what that Indiana team did last night. If you have an ounce of red blood in you, you had to love that game. I'm sorry, Miami fans. I had to be rooting against you, which doesn't make me a bad person. But it was amazing. I loved it. And I told this morning, when I was talking to Shane, I feel privileged and honored to have been a part of this. And I sat down this morning, and I'll stop talking. We'll bring Rob in here, looking out over this beautiful bay here at St. Andrews, thinking about how lucky I've been in my life to cover be there at major events, from everything from Lake Placid, and the hockey win, and all the stories I lived. And this one I didn't get to be at, but I felt like I was at it. And this was as good as any of them. Amazing Indiana and what it represents. Somebody once said the worst thing that ever happened when Jimmy Carter became president is everybody thought they could be president, because he came out of nowhere. Now, the worst thing is Indiana won a national championship and went 16-0 and came from nowhere. What a story. It was a fabulous night.
Yeah, buddy, we talked about it last week on the show, and you witnessed, I threw two out there that I thought, when you talk about just college football as a whole, and Florida looks like they're going to wrap things up 79-59 over LSU, is I picked out two, and you were close to them because I think you lived in that part of the country at the time, and they both come out of, quote unquote, the Big 12 or, the Big 8, was the job that Bill Snyder did at Kansas State, and then the other Bill McCartney, did at Colorado. And I mean, I think if you appreciate the game, and with that, you got to give kudos to Miami for people thinking they didn't deserve to be in.
No, I don't have to
between
give Miami nothing.
All right, buddy. Now you told me don't show your colors. All right, it's not Blue Blood Thursday.
I hate to say it. I saw somebody wrote today, says it does my heart good. I'm not even going to say it.
Anyway,
I just say his last pass was for an interception.
Yeah,
that's all. I go with that.
And here's the other, and I'll give you some other tidbits. But Indiana, the symmetry of it all with the Kansas State and McCartney. McCartney was able to get it done at Colorado State and actually bring home a national title. But I mean, buddy, like you said, you've seen them all. Is this, in your mind, the best job ever? Even with the NIL supplementation and things like that, is it still the best story in college football history? I say yes, simply because, like I told somebody, when you drive from, basically from Dark County, or I can't remember what county there, Dark County there, going over to the Indiana border, coming from I-70, you know that you are in basketball country the minute you cross that line. And for that to be done at a school like Indiana, who really hadn't had a major title in anything since 1987, I mean, I think
But
it's
they were
unbelievable.
undefeated then too, by the way.
Well, not in 87, 77. Well, yeah, they were undefeated in 76. Yeah, national champions.
Right.
And then, but yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at just what the other major sport has meant to that state, for them to then be on top of the college football world, Rob, it's unbelievable.
Well, it is a great story. And I mean, Dave Bartu said on our show yesterday, said it again today when I talked to him, that that this is the greatest 4-year run of winning he's ever witnessed in his lifetime. The 2 years at James Madison University, the 2 years in Indiana, because you're talking about the losingest program in the history of college football. So now they give everybody hope like maybe they never dreamed of, but also it's going to put a lot of pressure, more than ever, on coaches. You have no excuse. They won in Indiana. They built a hockey superpower in Lake Okeechobee. I mean, things like that. Okay. And it snowed again, by the way, Sunday in the Florida Panhandle. And we're expecting here in Memphis, like Friday night, Saturday into Sunday afternoon, 5 to 8 inches, in some places 15 inches up here. Look, nothing's
I'm going to
normal.
go skiing tomorrow, so there you
go. Really? But nothing's normal anymore. And if you don't adapt, you're done. But I want to ask y'all a question. There was Yancey Porter said it on the show this morning from Rebel Yell Hotline. I asked about SEC basketball. He said, look, with revenue sharing, the traditional football schools are going to focus more of that money on football. Traditional basketball schools will focus more of it on basketball. But the SEC this year versus last year, a lot of teams were older. They were better. But are we going back to pre-2014 in SEC basketball when Mike Slive said, please, by all means, make this sport because we got to have something for SEC Network?
Well, I think it's the model of, I think it's going to go in ebbs and flows. And I think the consistency and maybe the excellence that we saw last year was kind of an outlier, but I think you'll see that every 4 to 5 years. I don't know if you'll see that every year. We'll talk about, we'll go into the basketball team here in a minute, but you talk about just where that is. And like, I don't think the SEC, I think there's going to be parity, I think, in college football, simply because of just so many options and teams can't really stockpile talent anymore. But in basketball, I think, because of the one and done model and things like that, it's going to take every 3 or 4 years for somebody to put, you look at Tennessee, great transfer class, Florida, great transfer class, Auburn, great transfer class. You're going to see that, but it's going to be every 2 to 3 years, not every year, because you have the one and done and you get a lot of guys and then they're going to be one and done, and that's going to be there for a minute. And you look at Vanderbilt, who was on top of the league, now Florida. Vanderbilt was only a 3 at the time in the NCAA tournament. So, the fact that you had 2 number 1 seeds last year, a couple 2s, some 3s, I think Florida may be able to play themselves up to that 2 line, maybe be the last 2 in. But yeah, I think it's going to go. I don't know if we're pre-2014, but I think last year might have been an outlier for sure.
All right, this is your show, and I have no right to say this, but please, can we keep it right here on college football and last night's game?
We go back to that.
I just want to make sure we make a point here. Rob, you need to get out here and start turning backflips, because this gave you everything you ever wanted for ammunition. You have cried and whined and complained about no team concept, NIL, whatever. And Indiana just destroyed that.
Yeah.
They brought the team concept back in a big way with some quality players and a tremendous young quarterback. Man, that guy, if your heart didn't melt when you saw him kneeling down to hug his mother who has MS, that was aside from all the great things he did. To call that play, guys, your football guys, for that play to be called, that where he took the ball in on the quarterback sneak. You know, John Elway one time ran a touchdown in and did a helicopter and to win the Super Bowl against Green Bay. Well, let me tell you something. Fernando Mendoza was an F-16. I mean, he went to and I loved what his coach said. So then he said, all you guys who like Fernando and think he's a nice guy, let me tell you something. He's got the heart of a lion. He took a linebacker on. I mean, Rob, and what he did as a young man. And by the way, did you know he was a 4.7 student in high school and was going to Yale before he started playing football? This guy is brilliant. He's a great kid. I love his family, what he represents. If ever there was a quarterback, and the last time I saw a quarterback and a coach made for each other, it was Werfel and Spurrier. And certainly these guys are made for each other. Mendoza and Cignetti, what a team. Unbelievable performance. And the call by Cignetti when he called timeout. And now he's, what was it, 4th and 5, and they had 12 yards to go, and he was going to kick the field goal and decided not to. I was talking to Shane this morning, and he said, I thought to myself, oh, no, here we go. You screwed this up big time. You know, well, he didn't. Even when the offensive lineman moved, he had a 2nd and 1, which he gave him all the time he needed to run the clock out. He said his offensive lineman moved, and they've lost. And now it's 2nd and 6. And to set this whole thing up, and I will leave it with this. Calling plays, you have to have the intelligence, first of all. You have to have preparation. They spent 45 minutes as a staff drawing up that play in practice. 45 minutes. And you have to have a sense of when to call it. You have to have the courage. And Cignetti showed that last night. A brilliant call, a brilliant play. It was fabulous, and you couldn't get a better script for Hollywood than this. I say make the movie and let Matt Damon play the role of Cignetti.
you like that cat. Well, who's Mendoza then? I don't know if you know. Yeah, we got to find a young guy for that. But I will say this: great call. I mean, great play call, and shout out to my man Brian Haynes from Piqua, Ohio. Man, had the I did the math, and turns out I coached against him. We would play Piqua High School. I coached against him, and his head coach, Bill Neese, is one of the better defensive coaches I've ever been around. So he passed that down to Brian. So great job as well by him and holding that that Miami offense at bay. And but yeah, I mean, great call, buddy. Putting it in your best players' hands. And letting the kids go out and win the game. You know, you had the fade stop on 3rd down a couple times, back shoulder fade. You know, great call.
Yeah, that kid had a game. Didn't
Charlie
he?
Becker. Yeah, I mean, no drops. I mean, for a kid to go through a season with 0 drops, I mean, just a safety valve. But yeah, I mean, I think the story is great, and like you said, it's made for made for TV or made for the big screen, to really give us an idea, or, at least a 30 for 30, that gives us, or a mini series or something that gives us, the idea of what really went into building a team of this nature at a school like Indiana. And yeah, I mean, I think that, and, Florida fans, I mean, I think, you just look at the storylines. I mean, even, Jamari Sharp, whose uncle Glenn Sharp played in the last national championship game that Miami played in, he had the interception, and right or wrong, his uncle was the one that had the pass interference against Chris Gamble to extend the game and put the game into overtime, and then Ohio State ended up winning. So just a lot of symmetry, a lot of stories.
Let me give you one more.
And
Brendan's middle name is Sharp. His
Oh,
mother was from Miami, and that was her name,
okay.
Sharp. And
So,
it's just another little nuance
oh
there,
yeah, yeah.
But I love that. It was just a wonderful night, and I'm going to shut up now, let you guys do the show, and I'm going to sit back and watch and listen.
Oh no, we got
Rob,
to hear from the sage.
I just think Rob ought to be your speaker. He ought
Rob,
to be
yeah.
vote for Signetti for president.
You good, Rob?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The Indiana thing, there's two numbers that come to mind. We've never had a team in this century that did not finish in the top 3 scoring efficiency offense or top 3 scoring efficiency defense, one of the two or both. Indiana did that. But it's also the first time we've ever had a team that did not have 51% or more of their roster on the blue chip index, which is the 4-year rolling, cycle, the number of 4 and 5-star players on the roster.
They had 8.
And Indiana had 7 4-stars, 0 5s, and 57 3s. 2s, 1s weren't rated. I mean, so the coaching job and continuity, that's the story of Indiana. And Curt Signetti was the recruiting coordinator when he got the Alabama job in the early years with Nick Saban. Mm-hmm. So he knows how to evaluate players. Yeah.
He said he decided to become head coach at 50 years old when he was working with Saban.
Yeah. It's the best story, I think. We've never seen anything like this, guys. We've never.
No. I mean, like I said, I think, like I said, if you rank them, like I said, I throw the Kansas State up there just because if you've ever been to Manhattan, Kansas, you'll get it. But
yes,
but I mean, but this is
comparison.
But this is unbelievable. And I mean, just like I said, I mean, I know, Florida fans, but I mean, this was a game and it was not a domination. It was not a coronation. Indiana had to go get it. Miami made them earn it. And I mean, it just is a situation where we talk about this a lot on this show in particular is fluff, and what I call fluff is when I get texts all the time from guys asking me about, well, I hear so-and-so's on campus. I hear so-and-so's on campus. What do you know about this recruit? And my thing is until they get here and the pads start popping, it's fluff. All that other stuff, the pictures, the hugs with grandma and all that, this is what it is. And what I like about Signetti, and we talk about this when we talk X's and O's, literally everybody's going to talk about that run, winning the game, but what really won that game? What won that game, guys? What was the deciding play in that game? And you guys have heard me say it on this show. What is special? Special teams are special.
A blocked punt.
And block punt.
Yeah.
75% of teams that block a punt win the game.
Yeah, I heard that stuff.
I mean, so we talk about it all the time. We talk X's and O's, and you guys have and it frustrates me that teams don't try to change the game on special teams. And you go back to the block kick and things like that, you got to make the minors major and don't make the majors minors. You got to take the little things and make them the big things. And then when bad things happen to you, you can't get flustered. And to Mendoza's credit, Bain on him, Messamore on him, keeps hopping up, keeps jumping up, stays focused. But then that special teams unit goes out there and says, we saw something on film and we're about to block a punt.
Well, and not a block, but a block 6.
Yeah, block 6, even bigger. So, I think, when you look at all those things and you put it together, that's what makes this coaching job. They were elite in all 3 phases of the game.
Incredible.
For 16 games. It's unbelievable, Rob.
You know how many punts and kicks Indiana's blocked in the last 2 seasons? 8. Most teams just raise the white flag on special teams with block kicks because they're worried about getting a roughing the kicker penalty. Bud Foster, Frank Beamer, Virginia Tech, nobody did it better than the Hokies. I mean, they made a living. And special teams are statistically about 35% of every game. Okay. So why seed and just write off a third of every game when you can change things? A punt return. Remember Javier Arenas for Alabama in 2009? He averaged about 26 yards a punt return.
Mm-hmm.
Kicking to that guy was like picking a fight with Godzilla. You just don't do it. Yet sometimes people would make that mistake. But going back to Indiana, the continuity on that coaching staff, people are going to be coming after them. And there'll be guys leaving on there. But look at Pons, the defensive back. 5'9", came from James Madison University. Okay, if you look at the top 10 all-time rushing leaders in the NFL, I bet maybe one of them is over 5'11", 6 feet. Most of them are 5'8", 5'9". Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton. Every time I drive through Mississippi to Enid Reservoir, Grenada, Sardis, the dams, the hills, that's what Walter Payton used to do. He would run those hills, Sweetness, to be so strong. Indiana is such a throwback and it's such a movie. I mean, I'm just curious what they're going to call it. Hoosier 2? What will they do?
I don't know.
It's so great for sport.
Hoosier, 200.
Yeah, and buddy, you're right. I think it's the greatest thing for our business, for our show, for this channel, for all of us. And for Indiana, what they did, it's not the SEC, but you know what? You watch the SEC double dog, triple down to get back on top.
It's going to make them better. It's going to make them better.
Yeah, competition makes you better.
No more excuses about getting players and getting them in the house.
None.
And using the transfer portal.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at that and think about how Florida wasted so much time not being in the portal last year or 2 years ago. You know, look what this guy did in 2 years.
Yeah.
He lost 2 games, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible. 16-0 this year, guys.
At Indiana.
I mean, but it snowed 8 or 9 inches in Milton, Florida last year, people. Yeah. It snowed a foot in New Orleans.
Yeah.
It snowed 6 inches the day before Destiny right up the road from me in Panama City. Just so you know. By the way, your guest is here, Lorean, if you're ready for him.
Oh, you're talking about Joe? Well, let's before we bring Joe in, a couple of things. Let's talk a little bit about, and then we'll kind of circle back to Florida. But I want to talk about, because I think we're in that season now, and it's crazy, buddy. We are it's crazy. We're about 8 weeks away from Selection Sunday, which is crazy. And this basketball team. I think, and I'll put my hand up, and Rob, I think you were kind of in there, and buddy, you as well. Nobody, I think, expected this team to go undefeated. But I do think we are where we are now at 13-5 and 4-1 in the SEC, or 5-1 now and 14-5, after dispatching LSU 79-61 in a game that really wasn't that close.
5 straight mowdowns in the SEC.
Had 15 points, 21 rebounds. Klobuchar off the bench, 18 points, had a great game. And they're doing this still without the guards playing elite basketball, which means that any good team is finding a way to win. And right now, the prognosticators have them as a 4 seed. I think they can play them well themselves. Like I said, into that 2 line, maybe not a 1 seed, but definitely the 2. And buddy, this is a team, and you asked me, Franz, and others, and we'll ask you, Rob, too. Do you change anything on, I will be disappointed if, buddy, the Florida Gator basketball team does or does not do what?
I said it, I think, last time. It was my question to you.
Yeah.
Thursday night, and I think if they don't get to the Elite 8,
okay,
W mine now knowing what they are. By the way, I think they should change the name of the sandwich from the Reuben to the Chenliu. Just so I want to get a Chenliu.
Yeah, well,
amazing.
get on one of those food trucks there on University Ave. We need the the Chenliu Reuben. Maybe that's
there you go.
No doubt, Rob. I know your Auburn Tigers playing up and down right now, but you look at this Florida basketball team, and looks like, speaking of Indiana, this is a team that if things go well, and you obviously, I've always said, you get to the Final Four on guard play, then you pray and get two and get out the door. But this is a team that, at least I think from the standpoint of probably being the top 15 to 12 this week, moving into the top 10 as this thing progresses, has its eyes on Indianapolis.
Yeah, and they played a tough schedule in the preseason. Did either of y'all or anybody watching this show see what Billy Donovan was talking about, how much you actually hold the ball in your hands, point guard? 95% of the game, you don't have the ball in your hand. I think what Todd Golden is great at is number one, he's been a coach. He was at San Francisco with the Dons before he came to Florida. You don't take someone just because they're your son and put them in charge of a program who's never been a head coach and not expect there to be a lot of turbulence. Okay. But Todd Golden he's steady. He's level-headed. I'll be shocked if Florida doesn't at least get to the Sweet 16 this season. At the very least, they've got a chemistry. And they were
better? Who's better? Nobody in the SEC is better.
No,
Okay.
A&M doesn't. It's not in their DNA. They could screw up a two-car funeral.
The other thing is, you look at it, 79-61 tonight. Houck 2 for 11. Booty Flan 4 for 11. Well. Xavier Lee 3 of 7. Mm-hmm. But it's always somebody.
Klobuchar had 4.
Yeah, Klobuchar had. What'd you say now?
Klobuchar had 4 threes.
4 threes, 18 points, and that's what I'm saying. It's that thing where the bench and the depth is so deep that anybody can get you. And I think that's where, when you look at this team and where the league is going, like Rob said, I think the league is down this year a little bit, so everybody's kind of coming back to the pack. But from what I've seen, the way they dismantled Tennessee, the way they took care of Vanderbilt, which really, that game was close, but there were times, I think, as I always say, Florida was messing with the church's money a little bit and should have stepped away from them. But, at this point, I agree. I think that this is the class of the SEC, and then we'll see where things,
And they're not even playing their best basketball.
No, not even close. Not even close. But this thing, it'll get up on us quick, and and then we'll have, and then we have a little bit to talk about, a little bit of that ball here in a minute. But before we get into that, we want to talk about our sponsors, one of our great sponsors, Meldon Law. We saw Mr. Meldon and his lovely wife at the women's game last week, and saw him tonight on sitting there on the front row supporting the men's basketball team. We talked about the championship rings and everything that they've done. You see the T-shirts, the giveaways, but not only that, just helping people in the community get the legal needs that they have, take care of the legal needs that they have. And if they can't help you with a legal issue, they can point you in the right direction to someone. I think they helped you. They helped me, buddy, as well with some estate stuff. So we're able to point me in the right direction. The folks at Meldon Law have been doing great things for people in the Gainesville community, as well as Florida Gators everywhere. Now offices up and down the Florida byways, all the way down to South Florida. I think as far north as Lake City, buddy?
Yeah,
as far north as Lake City. And we really appreciate what the good folks at Meldon Law do for Gainesville and the Florida Gators. Meldon Law, the only.
And might I add, if you're probably
throw that in there, buddy.
Today, you had a great book signing in Ocala, Cogent Bank. A lot of folks showed up there. Thank you. Everybody came today, and we didn't give away. We got a ring from Jeffrey and we gave away to the lucky winner of a drawing. Rock Gibney gets a championship ring. So congratulations to Rock. A lot of people there to get Franz's signed books. There will be one more coming up Saturday at Prestige Auto, but thanks again to Jeffrey Melton.
Yes, sir. Meldon Law, proven a skilled lawyer since 1971. We won't back down. And with that, we'll bring in another gentleman to join the conversation. If we can get him in here, my man, the animal, Joe Fulford of Half Full and a Cup of Joe. Look at it. He can't, you starstruck, Joe, or what?
I just enamored right now. First of all, hello there, Rob. Hello there, Lauren. And the master of all masters, the king of all kings, the legendary Mr. Buddy Martin. It is such an
here. Oh, wait.
You got to bring somebody with you, buddy.
It is such an honor to be in your presence, sir. I've been trying to get you on my show for a long time, and you're really a well-respected individual, not just as a person, but as a journalist. You've done a lot for college football, and I'm just honored to be in the same room.
Well, thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate that. I do a show called Half Full Cup of Joe. I'd love to get you on sometime. So,
sure.
But anyways, it's such a pleasure to be on with you guys.
Yeah, no doubt, man. We're glad to have you. Before I forget, and I forgot last week, I want to give a shout out to, we always try to shed light on all the sports, but in women's basketball last week, Liv McGill, who's only a sophomore, scored her 1,000th point. The third fastest in Gator basketball history to score 1,000 points. So third fastest and only the second sophomore to do that in school history. So shout out to Liv McGill and the Florida Gators women's basketball team got a big win against Missouri this past weekend. But Joe,
yes, sir.
What did you think of last night? I know you were rooting for Miami, but what did you take from such a game? You're up there in the Midwest, Big Ten country, but for Indiana to pull off 16-0 at a school like Indiana, I mean, what did that mean for you?
May the snow that you get where you live be with you for a long time. No, anyways, I was extremely impressed with the way that Indiana played last night. I really thought that coming into this game, I knew there was going to be a tight ball game, but I didn't know it was going to be this tight. It was like 10-7 at the end of the half, mainly a defensive struggle. And then Mendoza came out of, I don't know if he came out of a shell, but he started becoming another person, and he was playing like Superman. And that high-flying move that he made to score the touchdown late in the fourth quarter, it was just amazing. And, we can throw out all the accolades you want about Fernando Mendoza, but make no mistake about it, he earned those accolades, especially with the way that they played last night. And hats off to that Indiana Hoosier defense. They played extremely well, and they gave Mario Cristobal and company a swift butt kicking. Well, not a swift butt kicking, but they certainly sent a strong message to Mario and company.
You can tell who Joe roots for, folks.
On their, and let's keep in mind, on their home floor. Even though Indiana was a home team, it was their home floor. So let's keep that in mind.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And as we move and continue, obviously we're going to champion. I mean, this is going to be a story that's going to last quite a long time. And I'm not sure they're going anywhere. I did see that Mendoza's brother is going in the transfer portal.
Georgia Tech. He's already gone to Georgia Tech.
Going to Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think they landed someone that's fairly decent at the quarterback position.
They won't have a problem.
I don't think so. But I guess my question is, and I'll ask to you, Rob, first, because you kind of cover the entire league and you understand where the thought processes are. You're also close to our neighbors in the north there at Auburn. Has Curt Cignetti made it bad for other new coaches or other coaches, period? Coaches that may have been at a place 3 or 4 years now, in 2 years, being able to build what he's been able to build at a school like Indiana, where football is still an afterthought. Don't get it confused. I mean, they'll be ready, they'll still be talking about the basketball team here in about a week. But does it put pressure not only on the John Sumralls and the Alex Golishes and those guys that are coming into their own, but also the the coaches that may have been at a couple of places a couple years and maybe preaching patience? Is that kind of out the window now? You muted, Rob.
Mute.
It absolutely puts pressure on them. There's no excuses. And the Signetti, it gives everybody hope. At the same time, raises it, the heat's now at 95. I mean, you're going to be sweating. So, and it should be when you look at what you're paying these guys and then the resources. If you're not winning at Florida and Auburn, it's because you've got a crappy coach, somebody who's just ineffective. And there's no reason. And again, that's what's going to be said. And I think the leash is even shorter. Waiting around thinking, while it might be a good theory to give somebody 3 or 4 years, forget about it. Curt Cignetti, he's got he has flipped the narrative in college. This is the biggest change. This is so monumental. I can't think of anything. Maybe since we put all the games on TV in 1984 when Georgia and Oklahoma sued and Chuck Ninus and the college football, the CFA was involved, that was a game changer because everybody thought, well, who's going to go to the games? They're all on TV. Well, since then, every stadium in Division I has probably expanded 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, no doubt.
People see that. Yeah. They want to go. You see a commercial for the best steakhouse in town. You don't want to say, well, I'm going to stay home and cook a crappy steak on my grill. You want to go to that steakhouse. Everybody now is going to be studying the Cignetti model. And if you are not winning, you're going to be out. That's why the buyouts are going to even be bigger now to protect these coaches because they know they've got less time.
Buddy, Neil 476 says, if Indiana can do it, Florida can do it. You've been around a long time. What say you?
Well, I said earlier, I think you were on when I said it. Maybe not. Maybe it was this morning. I can't remember. But when Jimmy Carter won the presidency.
You said that earlier.
I thought I did. My boss was a good friend of his. And when Carter came down to Florida and passed through, and my boss wrote a column about him possibly being president, I laughed at him, And then Jimmy Carter won the presidency, and that was an unbelievable story, just like Indiana. The problem was every damn body thought they could be president after that, right?
Yeah.
So now everybody thinks they can win a national championship.
Yeah.
The patience is going to run thin or even thinner. Look at the NFL. 10 coaches fired. 10. And some of them are being recycled. So their patience is thinner. People have no patience. They don't want to wait because they've seen what Cignetti has done in 2 years. He's a coach killer, man. He's killing his. But what an unbelievable story! I love this guy. I love this story. I love the quarterback. I love everything about it. And I said earlier today on Shane's show, I was privileged to be alive when this all happened. What an unbelievable finish to a season. It was really going south. It was crappy at one point in time. We thought the playoff committee had destroyed college football, and look what we got. A remarkable story about you can win, and you can win now.
Well, give it to me, buddy. You were a Sumrall, you big Sumrall guy, big supporter. You were impressed. Should that be? I mean, is it fair for that to be an expectation, or are we fooling ourselves at a place like Florida that your good friend Urban Meyer has said on numerous occasions you got everything you need to win at Florida, which means that I think, and even maybe by he and Coach Spurrier's appearance at the press conference, feel like this is the right guy. Are we looking to? I noted to somebody while they were making jokes about Florida and Florida State. I said, hey, Florida's the only one of the big three that hadn't made the playoff yet. So Are we being realistic in this? And we'll come to you, Animal, after for the same answer. Are we being realistic or unrealistic to expect, kind of the same reclamation project here at Florida?
Well, my friends like Shane Matthews and Steve Spurrier have told me you can win, you can find players, you can find quarterbacks, you can find coaches.
Mm-hmm.
It's not rocket science, not rocket surgery, as they say. And these guys, there's living proof of it right there. I was slower to come to Sumrall. I think Rob, to his credit, kept bringing him up a lot in our conversations. I was afraid of the group of five coach stigma that we've had on this program with Sunbelt Billy all this time, But clearly that now no longer is an issue. And so I think this guy, I heard Tim Tebow said yesterday, he said, when I met Coach Sumrall, I liked him. When I first met him, now that I've gotten to know him, I really like him a lot. That's a good sign when you start hearing things like that. So he's smart, he's competitive, he's on the way. He's really a lot like Signetti. He got no time. He got to move on. He wants to get in that portal and start, man. He has. I think if you look at his record in the last 12, 14 days, he's been incredible what he's done. He's brought a lot of change. He's brought a lot of players. It's in a positive way, and there's a very positive mood there. I've talked to my friends who say there's a really good feeling in the building that something's going on, and this guy's got it going on. So there's what you got there.
Animal, what do you think?
Well, here's the one thing that I would say. I really hope and pray that John Sumrall does not become a Signetti, and I hope he smiles more on the sideline than what we see with Signetti. But I mean, to your point, for Signetti, he's the bar has been set high now, because of it being able to get it done in 2 years and win a national championship. Yes, he has set the bar high, and I think for a guy like John Sumrall, I'm like Buddy. I'm like Mr. Martin here. I think that I was like him. I kind of liked him a little bit, but the more I heard from him, the more I saw things that he was doing, the more I fell in love with John Sumrall. Yes, the bar's been set high. Yes, you need to. A coach can do it in 2 years, but guys, here's the key to it all. You have to have a coach that the players can buy into the system. You have to have the players that want to come and work with the philosophy that John Sumrall wants to institute. That's what happened, I think, with Kurt Signetti. When he came in, he had a philosophy. He built on it. The guys bought into that philosophy and ended up winning a national championship. For Florida, same way. They have to buy in Sumrall's philosophy and work at it to become a winner with this organization. I think he can do it. And judging by the way he's done it with the transfer portal, being able to retain the players that he's been able to retain, and not only that, I even saw it today on X where Sumrall and a few of the Gator players are out in the community doing things. We didn't see that before under Billy Napier.
That's true. He went out there. He's taking pictures. Yeah, posters.
Sumrall is out there. He's out there, not only trying to be a part of the community, but also trying to be part of a family. And that's what Sumrall is trying to create. And it's going to have to happen little by little. And people need to have patience with this. The problem is for Gator fans, they don't have the patience. We saw that with Billy Napier. The worst mistake that Gator fans can do is start, excuse my language, but start bitching again, wanting a winner right away. It's not going to happen. The players have to buy into Sumrall's philosophies. They have to buy into what he's doing. And once they do that, I think Sumrall's going to do very well.
And we'll expand on that a little bit. Before we get into that, I want to make sure we talk about the good folks at Titan MRI and Imaging. Titan MRI and Imaging now has 3 locations, 2 in Gainesville with its Park Avenue location, and now at the Millennium Center and 1 in Lake City, serving all of Columbia County and Valdosta, Georgia. They offer the same great customer service. They now accept insurance or through their convenient self-pay options. They have MRIs, CT scans, X-rays, and ultrasounds, easy scheduling with lots of options, including evenings, larger MRI machines for patient comfort, no ERs, no hospitals. And I think, buddy, are they in Ocala now? I think
they're on their way.
They're on their way. Yeah, but coming soon to Ocala to better serve Marion County and the surrounding area. Titan MRI, it's your choice. All right. So we keep hearing Signetti, but we hear time. Rob, give me. Okay, I'm gonna give you a choice. You can give me advice to John Sumrall as we start to move away from last season and we get into spring ball and how this team is going to be constructed and what looks to be a quarterback battle between Aaron Philo and Tramel Jones. Give me an expectation or advice that you would give John Sumrall to get this thing going in the right direction from what you've seen with Florida.
Well, I mean, looking at John Sumrall, the 2 years he's at Troy, he plays for the conference championship. 2 years at Tulane, he plays for the conference championship. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't try to be different. It's the lack of continuity that hurts people so badly. We talked about it on my show in the morning. Ohio State, when they played against Miami, it was like, oh, Ryan Day, you haven't called plays, Ryan Day, in 5 or 6 years. As they say, you can lose your mojo, you lose your fastball, or whatever. Just keep doing what you're doing. What you'll notice about Sumrall is how he interacts with all of his coaches in the pregame. Go early, hour and a half before kickoff, and you will see something that is so important. He lets those guys know that they matter. He kneels down, leans over when they're stretching on the field, talks to his coaches, has his kids out there on the field with him. You're going to love this guy. He looks like he could still play. He is an alpha badass. He's exactly what Florida needs. You can't look. My first observation on Billy Napier was, I think the guy's got a good pedigree. I mean, he's coached at Clemson with Dabo. He coached at Alabama with Nick Saban. But you know what? He was low energy. He was a good guy and all like that. But my first impression was, oh my God, he's low energy. You got to be high energy. And what attracts those alpha, big ass, badass kids is a badass alpha male culture. You cannot be soft. The coaches that made it to the Final Four, Dan Lanning, okay, Pete Golding, Kurt Signetti, Mario Cristobal, they will take your head off if you're not giving 110%. Spare me all the talk about you can't be tough on these kids today. They'll quit on you. Good. That's what they said in Ranger School. Find me the quitters out here now, man. Get the hell out of here. I don't want you quitting on game day. I think John Sumrall, is the best hire. And I'm not saying that just because of the fact this is Florida. It's the best hire in the offseason of any coach. It really is. The guy has the best relationships. You will be so impressed with the relationships that he has. He had to recruit at Troy. He knows Alabama. People will tell you he was better than Freeze or DeBoer with the high school coaches. And he'll go to Alabama. He'll go to Florida. He'll go to Louisiana. So just keep being John Sumrall and don't try to be anything else.
Animal.
Yeah, and I think to expand on that, one of the things that I saw was that the Florida Gators are going to be coming out with an X. You know how they do like a Florida Gator thing. They got a new one coming out in probably a couple of weeks. So they did their trailer today, and you saw John Sumrall talking not just with the players before the press conference, but meeting with them, shaking with them, hugging with them, and all that. And I think for God, like I think for Sumrall, he's building connections with inside the program, not just as a coach and player, but as a coach and friend. Okay, if that makes any sense. And I hate I hate the one thing that Deion Sanders said when he first became head coach. He told a strength and conditioning coach that when you're in when you're in that training room, your players are not your friends. Okay, I don't like that. I mean, I think there's a time where you have to be tough with your players, but there's a time that when they need you to talk to you, not just as a coach, but as a friend about certain things. And then Summerall brings that, I think, and he brings that level of excitement. Look at me. I live in West Des Moines, Iowa. I'm a faraway Florida Gator fan, but yet I love the energy that he's bringing just by what he is doing. And I think that energy is hopefully is being felt in that training in that locker room, because now they've from what I understand, they've started their off-season programs. Rusty Witt, I believe his name is training, getting the guys training, getting them ready to go here for the upcoming season, while Summerall's out on the road recruiting. I like that. I like what Summerall is bringing to the table. Here's the one thing about it is he's not just hiding until until training, or hiding until the practices for the spring football. He's out there talking to people. He's out there in the community. He's out there meeting with the media. When's the last time you saw a coach do that? Not in a long time. It's been a long time. I love the energy and the fire that Summerall brings to the program, and I think that that's something that's going to be felt as the season moves along. One of the things I hope, though, and I hope this becomes a team that is has an adult attitude and doesn't get into trouble, if you know what I'm talking about.
Well, I think they've got rid of that. But buddy, you've been through what I call the glory periods of Florida. So you had an inside view of Spurrier, an inside view of Urban Meyer. So you know what this thing is. And I think, we sat together at the press conference, and I think he acknowledged that you probably had the best question of the presser, but also he kind of took an introspective look in. You brought kind of some introspection outside of for Summerall to look inside and give you an honest and what I thought was a heartfelt answer. So, for somebody who saw it unfold, what I call the two dynasties at Florida, what does he have, or what would you tell him to do, or say, this is the secret sauce that I've found works here at Florida?
Don't think I can get all that in the last few minutes of the show, but I'll tell you what I think. I do think
great question.
I think Rob is on to the right thing. Keep doing what you're doing. We come off of a guy who was hiding from us, who hid his personality, who wouldn't tell you the minuscule things about his life. You tried to have some kind of relationship. You don't want to go have a beer with a guy or take him to lunch. You just like to be able to talk to him. And it's not, I'm sorry, I'm old school. I'm used to relationships. I know that can't happen anymore. Coaches don't have time. But I just want to be able to get a chance to ask an occasional, hopefully penetrating question about them and who they are, and let him reveal to us a little bit about that. What I loved about his answer was when I asked him about his most difficult time, he talked about when he had to walk away from football. And he was honest and said he got in his car and drove down here to the Panhandle and went on the beach and drank a whole bunch of beer and didn't know about his future. And he had a year of left of eligibility, and he had been the leading tackler in Kentucky the year before. He dug down for that answer, and he gave it to us, and he was honest. It was refreshing. I thought, I know more about this guy after one question than I knew for 4 years of Billy. And I'm not a beat guy. I'm not there. But so that's the start. I think people relate to him. He's a winner. He has no tolerance for bad habits. in bad players. He knows what he wants. He's going to be definitive. He's got the attention of really quality people like Urban and Steve. I think he's that guy. I don't think he's going to pull off a Kurt Signetti in his next 2 years, but I think the main thing is getting on the right track and having some hope. And I think from that standpoint, that's what I want to see. And I think we got it.
Well, that's great,
and let me echo on top of that too, that for the fans of Florida, they want to see a winner. And as long as the Florida Gators are winning, not so much getting into the playoffs, that's going to be down the road. But for Florida fans right now, they want to see a winner. They want to see something consistent, and it starts right now. And as long as they're consistent, they're going to do very well.
Yeah, no doubt. Show, Robert, at the end, if you want to wrap it.
Yeah, what Rob? Who you got on your show?
Got Jake Wimberly tomorrow morning, ESPN 105.9 out of Jackson, Mississippi. Big numbers, Matrix, already looking ahead for the 26th season. And I want to echo what Buddy said, because great writers, they get you out of your comfort zone, but they keep you also on track. We all fell in love with college football again by watching Indiana. Nothing against Miami, but watching Indiana win that national championship. And again, watching Fernando Mendoza go over and hug his mom, who's in a wheelchair, who has MS, and he is a God and country family first kid from Christopher Columbus High School, who was not even invited as a preferred walk-on to Miami. And look what happens, man. Treat the word impossible as motivation. We got Dudley Dawson inside Arkansas also, and Vince Ferrara, the sports animal, and executive producer Brendan Martin, or executive producer Buddy Martin.
Yeah. Okay. Joe, where can people find you real quick?
Half Full Cup of Joe right now on Wednesday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time. Tomorrow night, I only have Rob Brown coming on. I'm on 7 to 8 Central Time, Mr. Martin. So anytime you have some free time, come on. I'd love to have you on, sir.
Love to be
on. All right. The great Buddy Martin, Rob Brown of SEC Sidelines, the animal Joe Fulford of Half Full of Cup of Joe. I'm your host, Lorean Meadows. Appreciate you joining me on this edition of the Lowdown with Lorean Meadows. Appreciate our guest producer playing this great music.
Hey, Gators win. Gators win.
Yep, there you go.
And another double for Chip. Yep. That's 4 in a row for him.
We'll see you next week. Recording live from somewhere. See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Pleasure, sir, to meet you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Let me just sign off. I don't know how to sign off. Oh, leave. Okay. Nice to meet you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.